tell you about my life. I wrote a song called Mercy, Mercy. And this is about 35 years ago. And the opening line is, just a dream of satisfaction living in the heart of a young blood. Bound to cause a chain reaction, he sets out in his life in a run. He looks at the heavens above, screams to a God called love, and cries out, mercy, mercy. And I was one of those guys that never had a problem knowing what he wanted to do. At 15 years old, I decided that I wanted to play guitar. I found myself a music teacher and invited him to my home and started learning. I remember my father having him leave because he had long hair and he looked like a hippie. I remember when I was given the saxophone at 6 years old and I could not stop playing it, and my mother decided that it was just too much for her to handle. So the purpose of my talk is this subject called my war with music and my war with my career, which was my natural career. So I had these wonderful things happen to me. First of all, I had the pleasure of meeting John Lennon when I was 17 years old as I was walking home. He was standing in front of my house. So John Lennon came to meet Rudy Colombini. So he probably wears a little button saying, I met Rudy Colombini. Music just was a natural. It was popping out of me. The Holy Spirit was saying so. I was doing it. And it just bubbled in myself. It extended. It made who previously was Jack the Idiot Dunce all of a sudden turned into a real cool guy, until the moment started happening that I started realizing that there was death in the world. And my mother and my father both had cancer together. They were ill for a very long time. My mother for 10 years. It started when I was 11. And my dad somewhere around 14. So the more pleasure I got as I went out, the less it felt right to do. So again, I'm coming to make a point, but it just really hurt. And I decided to break up my first band because of this pressure. A few years later, I started another one, and I broke up that band because of that pressure. At the same time, good things were happening. I was getting songs in movies, and I was playing at all the clubs, and people thought that what I did was worth it. Looking back, it became impossible for me to elevate a room. And at that particular point, I decided that I would do better in business, and I started a business career. There were successes in that, but there was always this very deep sense in me that I was never doing what I wanted to do. And as life went on, as my 20s merged into my 30s, my 30s into my 40s, great things happened. I released albums. They actually charted on college radio. I released a song called Under the Impression that was in the top 40 of American music for a little period of time. It was played on 600 stations. Wonderful stuff happened. Released 4 records, but I was always hurting with the idea that I never was able to do what I wanted to do. And somehow I needed validation. I gotta get this validation. And it's just not worth it no matter what I do. So at 48, I decided that I should stop writing. I formed a band called the Unauthorized Rolling Stones that went on and has done very well, especially locally, but is known all over the country and has played on other continents. And the important point was self-worth, that my self-worth was never being given to me, no matter what I did. So, interesting thing now, I have my back catalog, and I go out and I play to very large audiences all over the northern part of California on a regular basis. What happens to me is the most notable thing, and this is actually where I have learned to get my self-worth from something that has happened. But I'm saying to you that it's because I've given myself my self-worth that this has happened. The point being is I will play 25 songs to 30 songs in a night. They'll be written by people like Bob Dylan and John Lennon and performed by the Rolling Stones and Jimi Hendrix and every other famous classic rock thing that you've ever heard. But interesting enough, the only time that the lighters are lit and the phones come out is when I play a couple of songs that I wrote. It's the perfect gift and under the impression. So, that's a miracle. I mean, but it's a miracle not because of what happened. It's because I've given myself the validation to let that happen. It didn't happen because it's true. It happened because I validated myself. And then it happened. And that's my miracle. And I'm glad it happened. And I'm glad I'm who I am. Thank you.